Welcome back to DSP along with Derek and Ken. I'm Hobie, and this Detroit Tigers team, anytime I say it, like the smile just comes on Derek's face, and there we go.
Waited so long for this.
Pleased with your team after a solid week, a sweep of the Red Sox, and then another series win against an AL East squad?
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll play?
Yeah, 5 out of 6. It's not our best, but it'll play. Yeah. Well, 800 winning percentage, yeah.
I know. Why not?
Best team in baseball by a full 2 games in baseball, not just the AL.
Yeah.
They lead the AL by 3.5. So, like, the Tigers right now, I mean.
You want to see him play the Dodgers again right now?
No. That's
not
okay.
yet? No, really?
I mean, take that Dodgers series out.
Yeah.
I know.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's crazy what they're doing. I can't believe, like, we knew they'd be good, but they're, like, dominant almost right now. And they never give up in the game either. Like, they're always in it no matter what. They can hold a lead with the pitching. The bullpens work. I mean, just everything's working.
Yeah.
It's amazing
Since
to
that
see.
series that they played with the Astros, because that's when they got a lead and then they weren't able to hang on to it against Houston. Since that series, though, things have drastically changed for this team.
I mean, the bullpen looks good. They've been holding leads. They've been keeping the Tigers in games long enough because, like, that Red Sox series, it was like just keep the Tigers in the game and they will find a way.
Yeah.
And every single time they did. And I don't know, it's so fun to beat the Red Sox just because, it's the Red Sox. But also this series in Toronto, it's just like they're playing these teams that you thought the Tigers were going to be sort of in the same pool as in terms of like talent and record and potentially fighting for positioning. Mm-hmm. And the Tigers are winning almost every single one of those series. And they look like legitimately the better team.
Yeah, we talked about last week that they were entering this period in May where they're playing a lot of competitive teams, ending with that Cleveland series coming up, and how are they going to fare against these? Like, these are good matchups. Like they're not playing the Rockies, you know what I mean? And we were like, win 2 out of 3 on all the series, but they might do better than that.
Yeah,
and it's just amazing.
We were talking about how the Lions schedule, that stretch from like week 5 to week 11, 12 is going to potentially dictate the season. I told Derek coming into this, I think the next 2 weeks will really tell us a lot about this Tigers team. Because I think the big question that everybody has is this sustainable for 162 games? And coming up this week, they have the Cardinals, who are above 500. Then they have the Guardians, and that's always a big series whenever they play. Then they have the Giants, and then they have the Royals.
Yep.
And those are all teams who are vying for position right now. Do you have that same feeling that will confirm what the 2025 Tigers are?
It's a big 13-game stretch. The thing about what the Tigers have done so far, because their past schedule is actually probably as a whole tougher than even this stretch, because they played the Yankees, they played the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't in a row. So like the Tigers could, let's say they go 5-8 in this stretch or something that we would generally consider like a disappointment. They're still going to have one of the best records in the league because they built that padding. And then you're going into a June where the schedule looks much more favorable. For the first time this whole season, the schedule kind of lets up in June. So I'm going into pretty much every series they play expecting them to win, just with the way they're playing. And reinforcements are going to come soon. They're going to have Veerling soon. Casey Mize is going to be back. So yeah, I mean, if they can get through this stretch of 4 series with even like a 7-6 or like an 8-5, I think then we start taking this like best record in the AL thing a little bit more seriously, where the objective of the season changes from like, can they win the Central to like, well,
can they make a push?
Can they get a bye?
Yeah.
Like, are they the team to beat in the AL?
Yeah.
Because it's like, the other 2 first place teams are Seattle and the Yankees, and they've already won a series against both of them. So it's like, okay, how much do you need to see? Because baseball season is so long. What we do is, when do we say it's real?
Yeah.
You don't want to wait too long, because then you've wasted all this time when you should have just been enjoying it.
And I don't think this team cares. The players in that clubhouse, they don't care. AJ Hinch probably says the same thing after every game that they win.
Yeah.
They just come to the ballpark every day expecting to win. I think that line is set after every single press conference. But you know what? Good for them, because they're doing the same things every day. That's resulting in the same thing.
The most encouraging thing to me is that, other than maybe Javier Baez, who is playing great, there's nobody on the team who's performing in a way that feels like wholly unsustainable, right? Like, I don't think Javier Baez is going to hit 310. I mean, he's clearly better than he was the last few seasons, but his numbers are probably going to come down a little bit. Everybody else, it feels like they could sustain what they're doing throughout the rest of the season.
Brings up another question we were discussing. I mean, the Tigers have two, at least on the club itself, have two comeback player of the year potential players in the aforementioned Javier Baez and Spencer Torkelson. Who's been more impressive when you factor in all of the variables? Who's been more impressive out of those two?
Well, I think Javi Baez, because you just look at the disdain that the city had for him over the last couple of seasons. I mean, he wasn't on the playoff run last year, and most of the sentiment was, well, see, see what happens when you take Javi Baez off this team. And going into the offseason, I'm pretty sure we talked about it here, like, they can't bring Javi Baez back, right? He's got to be a buyout candidate.
Right.
There's no way they can put him back on this team after what happened in the playoffs. And sure enough, there he was in spring training. And the way he's turned around, the perception of him, the fan approach to his at-bats are exciting now. Like, he's killing it in center field. Yeah. I mean, that catch that he had on Saturday, and then he followed it up with a home run later. I mean, like, that's like star sort of performance stuff that we wanted from Javi Baez that you personally never expected, for sure. And
absolutely.
And I didn't either. But, like, it's just, I think that with the contract and the fan stuff, him being able to turn that around is so big.
Before Parker Meadows and Matt Breland got hurt, I was one of those people who was like, there's no room for Javi Baez on this roster. And, I think it's hard to answer anybody but him because he's been so bad, because he's playing a position for the first time in his entire life and excelling at it. I just will kind of like lay out the case for Spencer Torkelson. He was not expected to make this roster. Oh. Like, he went into spring training fully aware that he was probably not going to make the team, mashed his way onto the roster, and it's really hard to like hit reset after a good spring and continue that, and he's done that. And honestly, both of them would probably have an all-star case if the game was right now, and that's insane to think about a couple months after it was like, well, they might break camp without both of them.
And they've both been clutch too.
Yeah.
Which is just adds to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Been incredible to watch.
Big moments.
Big moments, big week ahead for this team. We'll be discussing it all week long on Local 4. But that'll do it for us on DSP. For Derek and for Ken, I'm Hobie. We'll see y'all next time.